Time for another board game review, and this time we have the game Nice Buns. This was sent to me by Big Potato Games, and is designed by Lisbeth Boss and Anja Dreyer-Bruckner. Welcome to the Nice Buns buffet. Take a seat, roll the dice, and race to collect 3 matching sets of bao buns. Just watch out for the other diners around the table. They'll stop at nothing to steal your dice, ruin your meal, and take the buns for themselves. Let me show you how to play. So in Nice Buns, you are trying to be the first customer to fill your plate with 3 sets of 3 bao buns in 3 different colors. This is your plate. And each player starts with 2 random non-matching buns. Now, on your turn, you take these dice and you roll them. Each of these dice do different things. The small die lets you take buns from the steamer bag, which is over here. This is a bag filled with miscellaneous buns. The medium-sized die lets you take buns from the serving tray, and the large die lets you do extra special actions. So, just looking at the die, small die, whatever number's on it, that's how many buns you can take straight from the bag without looking one at a time. The medium die lets you take 1 bun of whatever color you roll from the serving tray. So this one lets you pick any color. This one lets you pick yellow or blue, and so on. This one here, you have to put one of your buns, any color, back in the bag. The large die has a couple different things. This one means you give a bun to another player. This one, you steal a bun from another player, as long as it's not on their plate. So actually, this is not their plate. We'll get into that in a second. All right, so actually, these buns, this is your plate, but these don't start on your plate. The reason why that is important is because if you steal a bun from another player, it can't be a complete set on their plate. But if it's off the plate, you can use this to steal. And this, swap one of your buns with another player, as long as it's not on their plate, they don't get a choice. Now, after you roll, so I'll try to roll these again, you have to decide how you're gonna split the die into 2 groups, because you're gonna present them to your neighbor. So with this one lets you take 2, this one make you put a bun back, this one you swap buns. You might be like, okay, I'll separate it like this and this. The person on your left must decide which of these 2 groups they want to take. If they take this one, they got to do these. If they take this one, they can do that. So whichever one they choose, that means you get the other group. Then you do the actions. So starting with the smallest die, so that player would take 2 buns, 1, 2, from the bag. Then the middle die, which they also have, they would have to put 1 dump bun back in the bag, and then you could swap one of your buns for one of their buns with the big die. Now, as soon as you collect 1 set of 3 colors, then they go onto your plate, and they can no longer be stolen or traded. Now, fish head buns, let me grab one from here. This gray bun, these are super smelly and ruin the flavor of your other buns. If you collect a fish head bun, you place it in front of you and add it to your largest set of buns. And it'll move over to whatever your largest set is. So let's say I have 2 red, a blue, and a yellow. So the gray bun will immediately jump onto the red set you have. However, if you, let's say, if you get 3 blue ones, it'll immediately jump onto that set. So the problem is, once this gray button is here, you can't move this onto your plate until you get rid of this first. Another rule is if you ever collect a set of 4 or more buns at any point with or without a fish head bun, you have to throw them all away. So this gray bun will latch onto this. Now it's a group of 4. That means they all get spoiled and go back in the bag. So this serving tray here always has to have 6 buns on it at a time. If you ever pull a gray bun, you just put it back in the bag and draw a different one. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. If you're trying to collect sets of 3, you roll dice, put them in groups, pass them to your neighbor, they pick, and you do actions, and the next person does the same thing until somebody collects 3 sets of 3. And that's the game. So this game has some cute aesthetic. I like the, component quality, the bun pieces, the dice, they look nice. I do think, for me personally, this game needed 1 more dice to make it vastly more interesting. Because really, the one part of this game that is actually strategic is just deciding how to split the dice. And I understand, wanting to keep it super light, it's a family game. But with 3 dice, I felt like it was almost always very obvious which one to, split as the 1. Sure, yeah, it would up the complexity a bit by adding a 4th die, but then the decisions would be more fun to make, and then you could make it, you know, you could torment your opponent a little more by giving them harder choices, versus, hey, we both know what you're gonna take. Yeah, it's this and this. Like, there's not really a better decision than that. One sort of, like, little snag that I wasn't anticipating with this game is it can actually be kind of confusing trying to remember whose actual turn it is, because, you know, you give the dice to your player on your left, and then you're both taking turns with the dice, and sometimes, you know, people take a little bit to decide what they're gonna do with the dice. We needed like a token to put in front of the current player, because sometimes the turns would go long enough that afterward they'd be like, wait, who actually started? Like, whose turn was it? It seems dumb, but it occurred enough times where I was like, this is like kind of annoying. Bottom line, the game is alright. You know, it's cute. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's silly. I think it needed 4 dice to really make it, you know, stick around and make it more interesting. But if you're playing with kids and you know, just want a silly little game, it's okay. It's just very, very simple then. Like, I think there was some potential here that was not fully grasped.